Hey guys, welcome back to another F1 Fantasy video, and in today's video I'm going to be looking ahead of the Mexican Grand Prix on who you should have in your team. I'm going to look at how well I did in Austin. I'm going to tell you if you need to use any chips. Then I'm going to go over the changes that have happened since Austin to Mexico for F1 Fantasy. But before we do, remember, like and subscribe, follow my Twitter, and join my F1 Fantasy League. At the minute, I believe we've got 116 people in it, so thank you all so much for joining it. Right, so first off, let's have a look at the changes going ahead into the Mexican Grand Prix. First of all, let's have a look at all of the prices that have moved up. So we start off with Verstappen, who's gone up 0.2 million. Now, I was even questioning if I needed to bring up this stat purely because everyone has him in their team, 64% picked. Yeah. Even though he's gone up 0.2 mil, still very much would bring him in. Then we have Perez, Russell and Sainz all moving up 0.3 million respectively. And that is actually great because without any spoilers going ahead into the video, those three are the three, if you've watched any of my other recent videos, that your team's going to be revolving around. So it's good to see that they're all still technically where they were last race. Even though they've all gone up 0.3, they've all gone up 0.3. So if you had Russell, Sainz or Perez, that means nothing will have been affected for you. Now, of course, Lando's gone up to 1 million after getting P4 in the sprint and P2 in the race. Of course, I will talk about why he got P2 in the race in a second. But 1 million up, like I've been spewing out every single weekend, please, you have to have had Lando Norris since like Silverstone. His price has moved around 6-7 million up since then, and obviously that money really helps building up your team because that 6 or 7 million means that you could use it on another driver back then. Now Gasly's gone up 1 million as well. He had a very good sprint and race. It was helped out by other factors that weren't involving him. Like I've always said about the Alpines, they're a bit odd, they're way too expensive. He's gone up to 13 million now. I would steer clear. Very good weekend for him, but this isn't going to happen every weekend for the Alpines like we've seen this season. Now Lance Stroll has gone up 0.5 mil. It was actually a decent weekend for him. Not the qualifying, but the race itself, which is where in F1 Fantasy you get most of your points. However, again, I would steer clear of him because his form has been dreadful. One decent race at the last bad 5 races. Yeah, so be careful. Same for Magnussen, 0.5 mil up. He's almost 10 million now. He's 9.8. For a Haas driver, that is just unacceptable. Don't go anywhere near him. Albon up to 10.8 million, 0.5 million increase. Again, he's a bit of a weird one because he'll have one terrible weekend and then go, hey, I'm getting points again. So it's really weird, that Albon situation. I would steer clear of him because it's too late in the season. There's no point in really having him, I don't think. But if you do have him, it's not the worst shout if you're stuck with him. Then Bottas and Hulkenberg up 0.5 million respectively. Again, Hulkenberg's becoming a little bit pricey, even at 5.7 for the Haas. And Bottas as well, he's always been pricey in that Alpha. Even Zhou, who I think is too pricey for what he gives, is much better than Bottas. Finally, to end the prices that have moved up, it's Yuki Tsunoda. He's moved up the million, which is a shame because I missed out on it. I could have had it, but I stuck with Ricardo thinking, well, my thinking was correct because they were very similar in the races. However, AlphaTauri sort of screwed up Ricardo's strategy, basically ruining the race for him, which was such a shame because he should have got more points than he did. Now, for the prices moving down, of course, we have to start off with Hamilton and Leclerc. Obviously, there was drama about this. Apparently, their skid planks were worn too much. Kota, it's a very bumpy track, and of course, it being a sprint race weekend, did not help at all. So it was a shame to see them disqualified, especially if you lose Limitless. They were second and fourth because they had done so well in both the sprint and the race. It was a shame to see, but rules are the rules. Also, a bit of a rant here. It does probably mean that Perez is keeping his seat in the Red Bull because he's going to secure second place in the championship due to the points lost from Hamilton. However, like I've said, the rules are the rules, so we just have to move on with that. Then again, the Alonso DNF meant he moved 0.2 million down, and the Piastri DNF also meant he went 0.1 million down. So basically, anyone who went down last weekend was because they had a DNF. Then let's move on to the teams you should choose for Mexico. Now, it's the same teams I've actually said in the past, I think 2 now F1 Fantasy videos. It's the Perez, Sainz, Russell team, which consists of Perez, Russell or Sainz with Verstappen, Norris, Piastri and a cheap driver. Now, the cheap driver I want to talk about because it does affect who you pick for your big driver. Now, if you go for a Russell or a Perez, you're probably going to be picking Ricciardo. If you go for a Sainz, who is slightly cheaper, you could potentially afford a Tsunoda or Hülkenberg. However, look at practice, because there are going to be free practice sessions which will be very helpful this weekend to know whether to pick Russell, Sainz or Perez, and helps you to think, am I going to pick Sargent, who's still cheap? Am I going to pick Ricciardo? And am I going to pick Tsunoda? Or am I going to pick Hülkenberg? I think the rest of them, Magnussen, Zhou, Bottas, they're all too expensive these days, so I would steer clear of them. And now, if you want a differential team, if you can afford it, I would go for Alonso over Sainz, Perez or Russell with Albon. Now, I don't actually think this team's any better than those three teams I've already suggested, so I wouldn't recommend going for them. However, if for some reason you wanted to move your team around and you think, considering Alonso's been looking okay, especially at Qatar, if you want Alonso in your team because you think he'll get you a similar points to the Russells, Perez and Sainz, and of course Albon will get you more points than Tsunoda and Ricciardo, Sargent or Hülkenberg. However, is it enough points? Because yeah, Alonso's a bit of an unknown at the minute. And then if you need a cheap team, it's sort of similar. You drop to Alonso from Sainz, Russell, Perez, but you keep Ricciardo or Sargent. And that should clear up around 5-6 million for you. And if you need to drop it any more, then you'd probably have to go Piastri to Albon. But yeah, that's only really if you have no spare money to go for. But I think that about wraps up the teams you could use for Mexico. Let's see if you need any chips. And to be fair, this part's going to be quite short because no, not this weekend. It's not a sprint race weekend. If you still have, for some reason, chips left over this season, this late in to the season, your best shot is going to be again Brazil because it's a sprint race weekend. So steer clear of any chips this weekend, unless obviously we see a penalty come up, then potentially, but it would have to be a big boy penalty for someone like Verstappen or Hamilton or Leclerc, like starting at the back, so you know they're going to be getting a lot of points from just moving up the field. That wraps up the chips for Mexico, and now let's have a look at my league. Now, thank you all so much for joining it. I'll show the link again. The link will be in the description and in the comments pinned. Thank you all so much for joining it. I can't appreciate you guys enough. I'm trying to root for 120 of you by the end of the season. And actually, thank you all so much. I hadn't actually gone to the screen yet to get up the league. We've hit 120. Let's strive for 125 then. Thank you all so much. Top 5. El Shemley keeping your place. Well done at the top. However, Ramen won. I believe if you are new to the league, congratulations to second, but I haven't seen you around the top 10. If you are watching this video, comment down below if you've been in a league before. But, because you're very close to El Shemley now, so there could be a little battle for first place going on there. Very exciting. And then Leapers won. You are now dropped to third. However, congratulations, you're still in the top 3. And you're still only 40 points behind El Shemley and 27 points behind Ramen. Very doable in the next few races. And then 4th place, Rivaldi F1 team, and 5th place, Sani Formel 1. You two have stayed the same. Congratulations. I think that's the 3rd consecutive F1 Fantasy you have been in the top 5. But congratulations to all you 5. And for the whole league, well done to you all, because genuinely this is a really competitive league. Considering I believe I'm 41st at the minute in this 120 league. And considering I'm in the top 20k in the world, it's a very competitive league, so thank you all so much for joining it. So that about wraps up this video today. I hope you got something out of it for the Mexican Grand Prix, and I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Have a good rest of the week. Bye bye.